Hey everybody, welcome back to the NC State Insider Podcast. I'm your host and lead beat writer for NC State on SI, Tucker Sennett, here today to talk about the ACC matchups from this Saturday and also going back to Friday. Obviously, NC State got their win on Thursday night, beating Wake Forest 34-24 in Winston-Salem to start the ACC campaign 1-0. And they'll have a big matchup against Duke in Durham next week on the road, even though it's, the half-hour drive, 25-minute drive down the highway, but still a tough road match against a now 1-2 Duke team that is certainly going to be looking to bounce back after some disappointing losses here. But just as we always do on these Sundays and posted on Monday, we'll go through the ACC slate from Saturday and give you what you need to know. Before we head into Saturday, Syracuse did get a win over Colgate, 66 to 24 on Friday night. Nothing of note from that game, but let's dive into Saturday. USF against Miami, a ranked matchup between the Bulls and the Hurricanes. The Bulls off to that 2-0 start with two wins over ranked opponents. They got worked. Miami, Carson Beck is probably now the Heisman favorite, and he looked fantastic again here, 340 yards and three touchdowns for the Canes. They ran the ball well. USF just kind of ran out of steam, lost this game 49 to 12, and that'll probably be the end of their Cinderella story here, unfortunately for them. The other big game in the ACC in the 12 o'clock window was this Georgia Tech Clemson game. Clemson, of course, coming off that loss to LSU, and then a so-so showing against Troy. Um, Ranked number 12 in the country headed into this game, looking to bounce back, and they didn't. Haynes King thoroughly outplayed Cade Klubnik in this game and drove Georgia Tech down the field at the end of the game to um, kick a field goal and win things for the Yellow Jackets, who moved to 3-0, just like NC State. So that is shaping up to be a really exciting matchup in a few weeks if NC State can keep this thing rolling, and obviously if Georgia Tech can keep their start rolling. Virginia, NC State's week two opponent, hosted FCS William and Mary. They just absolutely dominated William and Mary in this game, 55 to 16. Just a really, ho-hum performance for the Cavaliers. Chandler Morris only threw 19 passes, and Virginia once again ran the ball pretty well for the second straight week. Got 379 yards on the ground. Just dominated the tribe of William and Mary. SMU kind of off to a poor start here, following up that playoff appearance last year. They beat Missouri State on the road, 28 to 10. Not a great showing. Kind of a weird game that was left over on the schedule from years ago. So nothing to write home about there. A bad loss for the ACC on another pretty bad day overall for the conference was the backyard brawl. Pitt could not escape Morgantown with a win, falling 31 to 24 in overtime. Eli Holstein had another pretty solid game, threw for over 300 yards, but he did throw an interception and struggled at times in this one. And that win meant a lot to West Virginia. And that's always, like we said, back on Thursday or Friday when we did this preview, the, weird stuff happens in that game. So it doesn't come as too much of a surprise that Pitt lost there, but it is a blow for the conference strength overall. North Carolina has sort of righted the ship against two FCS programs. They played Richmond in front of an empty Keenan Stadium, dominated the Spiders 41 to 6. Nothing of note there. Um, Maybe the worst loss of the day came in Blacksburg, Virginia. The Virginia Tech Hokies fell to the Old Dominion University football team here, and they They lost 45 to 26. They were down 28 nothing at the half. Just a thorough destruction of Brent Pry's program. And that begs the question that a lot of people are starting to ask, is Brent Pry going to have a job by the time that they come to Raleigh? I don't know. It's not looking great. They're not sure what the buyout situation is for Virginia Tech as we get closer to that matchup in a few weeks. But that is certainly something we're going to keep an eye on here if he is able to maintain that job. Duke, NC State's week 4 opponent, went down to Tulane for a Darian Mensah rematch against his old school, and they could not walk away with a win. The Green Wave in front of a pretty crowded stadium down there beat Duke 34 to 27. Their transfer quarterback Jake Retzlaff outplayed Mensah. He ran for 111 yards and 4 touchdowns. Mensah threw the ball 51 times, mustered 313 yards and 3 TDs, and kind of got Duke back into the game late. But these slow starts for Duke have really sort of been a cause for concern, and it's hurt them down the stretch of these last 2 games. And they now enter that game 1-2 after being one of the more promising teams in the ACC. We finish on the West Coast with 2 matchups out there. Cal hosting a Big Ten opponent in Minnesota, and they had a great win led by this quarterback, JKS Sagapolo Tutele. That's my best attempt there. I just call him JKS. He was fantastic, 279 yards, 3 touchdowns, a really solid appearance for the Golden Bears. Good win. They could be an interesting team to watch in the ACC, just given their schedule. They're kind of the bizarro world of NC State. They don't face Georgia Tech. They don't face Florida State. They don't face Miami. They have a really light schedule the rest of the way. So that's a team that could be in for some serious success if things go well. However, if you're familiar with Cal football, things very often don't go well there. So we'll see what happens with the Golden Bears moving forward, but they could be helpful for the conference's strength as a whole. Then we finish at the farm. Stanford gets its first win of the season in the Andrew Luck era. They beat Boston College on the back of some timely turnovers and a strong rushing performance by Michael Ford, 157 yards on the ground. Great defensive showing from the Cardinal in this one, and they got the job done, beating Boston College 30 to 20 there. That's all we got from the ACC. We'll talk more about that Duke game as we get closer to the matchup between NC State and Duke, and we'll have more for you on the conference in the coming week. If you want more detailed storytelling about some of these games, Daniel Rios will have an article out about sort of the ACC's overall performance this weekend. As always, thanks for tuning in to the NC State Insider Podcast. You can feel free to follow me on X at Senate Tucker, the website on X at Wolfpack on SI, the website's Facebook page at NC State Wolfpack on SI, and of course, you can find more of these episodes on the Sports Videos on SI YouTube channel. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.